The emergence of the unconscious opposite. When a particular way in which we carry ourselves becomes extremely polarised within our own actions and lives, it can become very likely that the unconscious opposite of that behaviour can suddenly emerge. Think of an elastic band. The more tension I place on that band and the more I pull it apart, the more likely it will revert to its opposite form in a dramatic fashion. It will snap. That it will suddenly snap and revert to being loose in two parts. Or think of a bow and arrow. Highest tension of the bow leads to the sudden opposite of tension via release. So it's opposites within opposites. Now this is part of the hermetic reality of duality and correspondence, but let's think of this in relation to the collective psyche. Or let's say the way we envision an alien, or what an alien is. We have a collective archetypal vision of what an alien is and looks like, based on the unknown. What is the unknown to be characterised as? Most people would probably agree that an alien is frightening. Misunderstood and unknown, as anything unknown is usually frightening, maybe even symbolic of the unconscious. But, like the principle of enatiodromia, or enatiodromia, we consciously think of aliens as always being the furthest thing away from ourselves, in all forms, or as our counter-opposite as humans. When in reality, we through the collective psyche are becoming more like them. Shape-shifting and transmogrification is what is occurring due to our war on consciousness as a collective. So in this sense, we are unconsciously shape-shifting into our shadow opposite, without even realising it. And this is all because we are acting in a way that is extremely polarised and unhealthy. When we look at the metaphysics of Taoism and the yin and yang, we come to understand that it holds the same enatiodramatic function. That when yang becomes yin, it is because yang reaches the point of extremity. Or if you want to relate it to black holes, which is due to polarization. Because psyche and matter mirror each other, and this would be called the point of no return, and that it suddenly becomes its opposite, like a black hole. You reach the event horizon, space-time stops, and the gravitational singularity becomes unescapable, which you could say is the complete opposite of non-gravitational space. The Big Bang singularity, as I said in another video, is no different from the mandala, and in this case, the black hole is no different from the yin within the yang, or vice versa, the sudden gravitational singularity within an expansive space of non-gravity. But of course, this symbolic enatiodramatic function occurs in the psyche, through repressions, psychic complexes, the shadow, etc. For a quick example, that is very relative to today, you'll start seeing this process occurring much more when people are in fear of government restrictions, comply and try to justify their compliance with, in this instance, compassion. And this fake virtue is made clear when they come in contact with someone who is not doing what they are doing in the same strict manner. Enatiodromia occurs, causing them to be the complete opposite of what their fake justification was, because it was never virtuous to begin with. It was more of a hiding of oneself out of security, of authoritarianism. It was only done out of fear, and that realization is made obvious when the inverted hyperexpression of compassion is expressed to that individual, which would be that of contempt and all the other behaviours which come along with it. But that's one modern example you could think of. But back to aliens. What is the archetypal alien? It is the polarised reality of mind. That is what the alien is. The alien is psychically disconnected from its own body. It's got an enlarged skull with a limp like a childlike anatomy. It's emotionless, it doesn't speak, it doesn't feel, it stares through your soul as if it is trapped seeking freedom from its own existence. But the most important thing of all is that it doesn't understand. Its eyes are so big as it seeks for knowledge because it doesn't understand anything. It's alienated, but it seeks something else. It seeks what it does not have. So all these archetypal characteristics and definitions are also slowly becoming symmetrical to what the human is becoming. Humans becoming more and more alienated, not only from themselves, but from the outside world and from their own bodies. And this is all very similar to the function of anatiodromia or anatiodromia, because we see ourselves as the complete opposite of the alien as archetypically described. But when really the unconscious opposite of that particular bias is likely to manifest, which it is, we are to become more alien in quicker succession than ever before with the expansionary development of technology. But why is this? Well, it comes down to the same reason why an alien is the polarized reality of mind. We ourselves are polarized within the left hemisphere, as I have said in many other videos. Or you could say we have been abducted by the left hemisphere, or the left hemisphere's way of thinking. Ever since the scientific enlightenment and the development of technology, the slow dominance of the left hemisphere has been slowly increasing more and more, to the point where you ask the question today, where did creativity go? That is the basic function of the right hemisphere. There is not much creativity anymore, in my opinion. The general understanding of originality has been compromised with novelty, and creativity compromised with shock. You get this in modern art, and you get this in modern music, especially in pop music or popular modern culture. The reason why imagination has died, in my opinion, in the general collective consciousness is because it is typically for the left hemisphere through its dominance to reform newness through novelty with what is already known. Modern creativity is understood through the reality of a recombination and recontextualization, which is not imagination, it's not the same thing, which the right hemisphere relies on for creative purposes. Popular music today is only very rhythmic. Melody doesn't exist because that is what creativity is, and creativity is unique as that is what makes a song memorable and unique, which is its melody. So for an example, lo-fi is probably a pure example of left hemisphere orientated music or dominated music. The reason why is because it is recombining songs from the past to make newness seem like creativity. The process is not creative or imaginative because it is purely analytic. Finding songs in the same key to combine determines the making of the song, or the recombination of two songs together, which is the intention of newness and novelty. So when you think of left hemisphere dominance, that is necessary to develop science, technology, and you know that these are the things that have led and developed our modern world, and you then see the ways in which this polarization of the left hemisphere has transformed all other aspects of human life, you come to understand how we are being abducted by this way of human evolution, or way of human thinking. And it was a while back now when I did a video with Stefan from Uberboy, which probably a lot of you would remember because it got quite a decent amount of views, I think about 40,000 views, where we talked about how the left hemisphere is Apollo and the right hemisphere is Dionysus. And I still hold to this because it is I think, proto-scientific expression of the divided brain through mythology. And it is nothing but a self-fulfilling prophecy when we look at the reality of today and how man is slowly becoming and allowing to become allergic to human interaction, which is the complete opposite of the human Dionysian expression, which is that of the body, sexuality, dance, movement, love, lust, expression, and creativity, mostly. So this complete imbalance is producing an inversion, which is making people think that human nature is the real virus, which links right into the transhuman digital movement which we are seeing in our modern culture, thinking that it is the cure to all of this. So again, it's this horribly enforced and conformed alienation, being disconnected from the body, which is an ungrounding of the mind, which is a disconnection from the true reality itself that is felt. Because when the mind is disconnected from the body, it lives in its head. It thinks too much and is easily deceived due to the thoughts that are ungrounded within one's head, and this all obviously raises psychosis. Or as we see today, the collective psychosis of thinking that, for example, one example, that the government are here to care for you, which is not the case. Which finally leads me to a kind of scary prediction, which is this, basically, of my own thought and feeling. The more we become alien or unknown of our true selves, the more likely we are to be scared of the human condition. And if we are going to be scared of the unknown and not face the unknown, we will eventually allow ourselves, mankind itself, through fear and self-inflicted hate of the human condition, to give up our own humanity to technology as a method of deceptive revitalization, or to see it as the cure to all of this, which is basically the end of humanity itself as we know it, to become completely alien of ourselves to the point where our own human existence is lost to the infinite space of the universe. That is how I see it, and that's not with delight one bit. Hopefully the actions of many does not allow this type of thing to happen, but that is how I see digital transhumanism becoming a complete reality, and how they are steering the way of the pandemic in favour for this. By humans becoming so alienated from their own born nature as we are increasingly becoming today, especially in the past year, between ourselves and others, that humanity end up adopting transhumanism as a way out from their own humanly conditioned psychosis, which has been bred on self-hatred and control. And I think, based on this, you should watch my video on my idea called cathartic nihilism, as that describes my views on the kind of self-hatred humans have made for themselves, which I think will lead to the favoritization of the favorism towards a complete transhuman digital existence. So thanks for watching. Make sure to like, comment and subscribe. Make sure to follow my newsletter for weekly articles at thoughtsonthinking.org. That is the most beneficial thing that you can do to support the channel. A link to that will be in the description. I'm also now on Odyssey, so subscribing over there would be great, but ultimately this video is about trying to connect the body and mind together. Do what you feel is the right thing to do, because we need some kind of synthesis. We literally cannot live in this polarized world that we are making for ourselves. And arguing about the little things is only going to make it all worse collectively. Because I know we all, most of us at least, want to collectively live within a world of peace and freedom. And we are just not heading that way at all, by the way everything looks, from what I can see. And that's the most honest thing that I can say in this video. So with that said, thanks for watching, and I'll speak to you in the next one.